Hey guys, so today I'm going to be going over our very first Mythic Fatescribe kill. And just like normal, I'm not going to be going through all the mechanics and explaining what they do, but more so how we chose to deal with the mechanics. So the first decision that you're going to have to make is comp. And I think 5 heal v 4 healing, I think they're both just as viable, and I even say just as popular. And basically with 4 healing, the idea is that you can skip phases, or skip mechanics, and make the phases easier. If obviously they go faster, a little bit easier. And the idea behind 5 healing is if a phase is delayed or if you get extra Twisted Fates, you're not hard screwed. So we chose to go with 5 heals. I think that is the safer play to go with, so that's what we decided to do. What I also think is going to be interesting about our very first Fatescribe kill is that I think this tier, this was one of our sloppiest bosses. Not only from like individual players' perspectives, but I think from my raid leading on this fight was very sloppy, as well as my tanking. So I'll be able to go through those mistakes. So to start the fight, there are 2 theoretical kind of safe spots in the room. They're not safe spots, but like the most likely to be safe. So you can see here on the map, X is one of them, and then directly across from X. So kind of like where we're tanking, but it's gonna be like over here. And the idea behind it is with the different patterns of the beams, these like 2 directional portions of the room are the most likely to be safe. It's not always going to play out that way, but if you watch other videos, if you look at logs, most teams kind of mimic this positioning. So to start out, it's really standard what we do. We just pull, pot, burn all your coolies. There's nothing really exciting that happens at the start of the fight. So first players will go out, and then I will get the tank ad and laser. Yeah, also I call it lasers, so lasers are going to be spawning. And the way that we chose to deal with the tank ad is I didn't want the tank ad slowed until it got to the boss, and then for the most part, I just wanted players to cleave off of the boss onto the tank ad, and you'll see I think I focused the first one. The kind of like enraged to the ad is its energy. So if it gets to 100% energy, then it blows up and you wipe. So the push timing that you want to go for is on this boss when he reaches 72.9% and 42.9%, he kind of goes into limbo where he won't really do any other mechanics. So in each phase, you're wanting to get to that point as fast as possible. So that's where losing a healer and getting a DPS is very beneficial, is that it helps make that push easier. So you can see like we're relatively safe here. I think the tank should have just stayed here, but it's pretty minimal.
Gets you still on this ad.
So yeah, the ad pretty much has to be slow for Mythic, and then you'll see me just kind of kite around in circles.
Just 2 right next to the boss.
And then when it comes to boss positioning, we wanted the boss to be pretty centralized in the room for the players that are doing runes. That way they always have uptime on the boss. So you can see down here, I have it focused so I can see his energy.
Stop on.
Alright, so I'll let it play a little bit longer. You hear me call it stop on boss. So we pushed a couple of seconds too slow. And what's about to happen is that if you push too slow, the boss will just kind of like start chain casting things. And I made a number of mistakes here. So you ideally want to keep these ads together, right? And what happened in my mind was, okay, I called stop damage on the boss. I need to bring the boss away from the raid and bring the boss away from these ads, because now that we've reached that or surpassed the 72.9% threshold, I don't want any damage on the boss until I say go. So I had to pull the boss away, and then I placed like the worst fucking ring of peace here. And what you can see is on my frames, if it's purple, I have threat. If it's gray, a non-tank player has threat. And if it's blue, a tank has threat. That's not me. So what these ads are doing is just kind of like fucking free for all. Like 2 of them are coming towards me. One's going to the off tank or the other tank who's doing it with his tank ad. And then these 2 are like on random players. It becomes a shit show. So we push this phase too fast. So we get an extra set of bombs. And like most of our pushes, we skip this set of bombs altogether. But on this one, we got them. It just isn't the end of the world. It's just annoying.
Spread out. There's like 2 of them left, and you gotta swap the tank ad. Let's get out with these. Maybe actually.
And so the boss is about to push. I decided it's safe to bring in these, bring the boss in to cleave on the anomalies. I think we could have pushed the boss faster to skip this Twist of Fate,
Just hit the dodge troops.
but it's not a big deal. Yeah, so we're gonna skip Twist of Fate 5, which is fine. We should have skipped 4 too.
Look to your right.
All right, so let's talk about my shit UI. So the other big mistake I feel like I made as a raid leader was choosing the correct weak aura to use on this fight. So, and most guilds do this in heroic even still, is that you have everyone have the same weak aura, and there's like a number of different ones that are out there. And what the weak aura will serve is that it tells players what runes are doing, and I'll have a list of backup players. So you can see this more on the left. This is the one that we got from Limit. And we got really used to using this weak aura, and we got so used to it that you can kind of like pre-plan groups to where, you know, let's say, you know, Chevy as purple, so she's going to be in group, you know, 3. So she always, as long as they're in group 3, they're going to know that they're going to be responsible for purple rune. So it like goes based off of like raid positioning or like people's position like in the raid. We had all of our healers in group 5. They should be last priority. It didn't work out that way for this poll, but they would pretty much always get blue, right? So players got really used to doing like the same rune, so we got really used to this weak aura. But the problem with the limit one is in P3 it doesn't give you a list of players that have the ability to do runes. It'll show like 1 2 3 4 5 6, but it's not going to assign players, and it's not going to say who even has the buff, right? So what I had to do was just get another weak aura that just showed a list of players that was on my screen, but I ignored this and I just focused on this one over here. I think that was like a pretty big mistake on our end, because what ended up happening was when we get to P3, I had to manually call out what players are going to what runes, and then they don't have it on their screen, so sometimes players, you know, it's kind of intense. They would like forget, they'd get nervous and do it wrong. It just kind of led to a number of wipes. So you'll see it in P3. But the way it works for tanks is that one tank will always get chosen to do a rune, and the way that we had set up was a tank would always do first rune.
Nith is grabbing the ads.
So the ad positioning is actually incredibly important. And this is like one of the other like big sides to standing on X, right? Not only is it a theoretical safe spot from lasers, so it's a good spot to transition. What's another benefit is like the ads. So what you have to be able to play around is the ads to spare cast. So they will spawn the same spot every single time. And players that don't get assigned to runes just get a chill. They have it pretty easy. The players that get assigned to runes, like the tank's job is to get these ads over to like over here as fast as possible. And the players that are going to do runes have to be cognizant they're casting a spare and they have to outrange them. So the spare cast is going off. I like start positioning towards my rune. Okay, now I know it's safe to go. So this rune in particular, I think, is like one of the harder runes, and what makes it hard is that you have the least amount of times to anticipate the balls coming out, as well as you'll feel very claustrophobic with the lasers. And that's why I think a tank should always do one of the inner runes, is that honestly I could eat a ball and not care too much, or I could eat a laser and like I have a bigger defensive capability than most other players do, right? Like I have my defensive trinket, I have dampen harm, I have fort brew, I have celestial brew, you know, lots of shit, right? So I can like eat a ball or a line and not die. So I eat a ball here. I started getting pretty claustrophobic. So like what I would do is I'd place a transcend. That way, if this player like started going faster, I could just transcend back over onto the other side. But I don't think I need to do that here. Yeah, we're good.
Res Mizaki.
There, so you can see the ads positioning right here, kind of. You can see the ads positioning. So the way that we chose to position the ads is range can always just camp and hit ads and not worry about it because they cannot range it. But what melee players had to do, and this killed one of our warriors, you can see the death count over here, is that when the ads cast a spare, they have to LOS here on like this lip of the wall, right? And if you kind of tuck in, you won't get by the spare, then you can go back and get like pretty good uptime on the ads. Cool. So yeah, this phase will pretty much just be a repeat of P1, but the lasers will come in like sets of 3 later on. So we start at X, and then we'll make our way to the opposite side of the room. You ready for laser? So the first laser in this phase is only 1. It's pretty easy to deal with. It's just like P1. Okay, you go towards the middle. So just to repeat, we go towards the middle of the boss. Players have to go do their runes. I'm keeping an eye on the ad's health and energy over here in the corner.
Start cheating towards the other side and get some damage on this ad.
So what I called for is for the other tank to start, like what I said, cheating towards the other side. But I need to have this ad dead in a position where we're already like kind of close to the theoretical safe spot on the other side of the room.
As we triple laser.
Yeah, so I think this job from the other tank, I think, is like one of the hardest on this fight. What his job has to be is to get to a safe spot to drop off his ad, but then he needs to get the ad close to the raid while the triple set of lasers is going off. The other portion of the fight that makes it really difficult is that players get bombs during this. And I think you can already see the misplay that's about to happen here, right? Like, this player should not have gone here. Like, these players kind of already claimed the spot. Like, they are going to like run to another player and probably kill them. What players would have to do sometimes is like you just have to get ready with the class defensive or call an external if you're going to eat a laser and drop off your bomb at the same time. I think we lose like 2 players during this.
It's personal though. American Onk, it's fine. New laser, new laser, new laser.
Get boss away.
Stop the ammo, boss.
Yeah, so you can see we broke that threshold of 42.9%. So boss damage is kind of relevant. The only mechanic the boss is going to do, and this was the same way in P1, is the Twist of Fates. He's not going to do any more lasers. He's not going to do any more bombs. He's not going to do any more tank ads. All he's going to do is lasers. So you can kind of take this phase chill from now on.
Okay.
Like we lost a number of players, right? I think we lost 3 players during that overlap. We lost 2 healers and a DPS.
It's fine. Near Onk, speed res yellow. Stop damage on boss.
Like we just like panic rallied there, right?
Res yellow
super
now.
super sloppy. So our job now is to clean up these ads and then get back to where we start intermission over at X.
Yeah, finish off the ads, get to X.
Okay, so this is where I start my fuck up, right? What I would normally do is I should have cheated off to the right a bit and placed my transcend. That's what I do most of the time. I think like here I was thinking about the players that just died, and then I started making mistakes, right? So I don't place my transcend in the best spot.
Science is ads.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to grab ads. So my job as a tank, what you'll see, is to get thrown the ads and then bring them to this safe spot without getting hit by despair. So I taunt left, I go and like throw a keg and like breathe fire on right, and I roll back. I should have been able to transcend back. And what you have to be careful of is the second despair that they cast. I pretty much just said melee, you have to fucking run away, right? Because you can see like the slow moving ball of death over here. If I try to tuck in, I am cornering myself to basically get hit by it, and same with the melee.
Watch.
So I call for melee to watch.
Despair.
So I am like yeeting away from despair. And I have my transcend, and this is where I fuck up real bad, dude. So I lost third on skull, and it's completely my fault, right? So the way we did it was you want to focus off one ad onto the other. I was focusing off of X and like cleaving on a skull when the entire raid is hitting skull, right? It's like my threat isn't the best on skull, And then once Skull starts getting out of position, I like move my mouse to taunt Skull, but I don't click. So I just fucking taunt X. So now Skull is just like chasing a Warlock, and I have to chase after it. I'm getting hit in the back. You can hear like the heavy
You
sigh.
guys just have to run away from this one.
And I just call like, you guys are gonna have to run away from this one. Like this shit's fucked. Like it's pretty bad.
Range, careful as we back up.
So another thing I see other guilds do is that they like wait to turn the last rune until like the ads are dead or until the last second. We just said fuck it, just like finish the runes. That's the only like hard pass fail mechanic to the phase. Just like get it done, right? Like if we have an ad at 300k by the time we phase, it's not gonna be make or break.
Yeah, finish off this ad.
Like last phase really isn't a big DPS check. The other thing that we decided to do that I think is kind of like substandard is our lust timing. We waited till after the first bomb lasers
and
combo.
bombs first. We got the bombs and look for laser.
No, so we got super lucky on these lasers.
Lust and pots. Come on guys, we cannot rely on that.
So we lose another player, but like I said, this phase isn't a DPS check. It's just the pass fail.
Get ready for runes.
All right, so you can see the way the weak word is set up from limit, and the way it's supposed to work is this, right? So there's the 6 runes, and me as the raid leader, I can click off which runes are not active, right? So I'm supposed to look at the room and say, okay, just for example, orange and green are not available. I can click them off, and then I can just assign players like 1, 3, 5, and 6. I found this to be really difficult to do, right? Because like I'm like running away from my tank ad, I'm trying to kite it, like the room's fucking spinning, like it's just difficult to do. So what I did was I just went to the list, assigned players, like double your star, iron your orange, Luton your purple, and went through the list that way. And I think my choice to approach the phase this way cost us like a number of P3 wipes.
Double your star, iron your orange.
So if the players didn't hear me, they're gonna have they might think that they just didn't get called, or maybe they thought I called them on like green when they're star. Like there's just a number of like auditory mistakes that can happen.
You are green, definitely you are moon, Draven you are blue. Get slows on this ad. Just focus up the
I
ad,
need
guys.
help.
I got orange. I'm good.
No, never mind.
I'm good.
And in the last
Get
phase,
off orange.
and like the first two rune phases, each player can solo their own rune, no problem. In this phase, you should have backups, right? You have less time to do these rings than you do intermissions.
You need someone green.
I'm going.
Does anyone need help?
Alright, just get inside space.
And then
let's
our
get a roar.
positioning here was really bad. We should have brought the boss to a different side of the room.
Get out of these.
Because we already had like the pre-placed bombs here, but it's fine. Like it kind of works out.
Just follow the boss. Get stuns. Get
You
these
can say
ads grouped together if you can. Get
These ads are fucking out of control, right? It's like they're blue, so the other tank has started them, and he's like going away to deal with his tank ads. So they're just like leaving the group.
Get grips and shit. Start moving towards the middle of the room. Get ready for lasers.
Are we worrying about the
Yes, you have to get this damage on the ad. We're done.
So I call that like we have to kill this shit at Destiny. I think if you 4-heal it, you can ignore it. If we didn't have 3 DPS dead, we might be able to ignore it. But I know like the most likely way that we wipe is that we don't kill this shit at Destiny in time.
3 DPS. We can stay here. Just
So I
focus off
call,
the ad.
to focus off the ad.
Get out with these bombs. You're gonna have to go far. Let's get on a roar if you have it. We need damage on this ad, guys. Focus off of the ad. Everyone is on this ad. Everyone is on the ad.
That's gonna blow up.
Yeah, we just everyone's on the ad. We're fine. Good. Now just focus up once. Yep. Just get these together. And just get slows on my ad. You ignore these runes. Just burn boss.
Yeah, and then super
Slow
easy
on my
decision to
ad.
make, right? Boss is like 3%.
Can you just roar for me?
I got it.
Kick the little ad out there.
It doesn't matter. Just burn. Good job, guys. Sloppy, I'll take it.
Yeah. So like I said, I think that this was one of our more sloppy kills. Not just like, oh, like it's the first kill, it's sloppy, but I think even like our strat and the way that we chose to handle this fight was just sloppy, right? Like with our choice, with my choice to use the weak ore that we did, the way that we handled P3, I think was really sloppy. And I think the players with the bombs were just kind of confused as to what to do when it overlaps with beams. Yeah, so that's my kind of explanation of this fight. I hope you guys can like learn from our mistakes or learn from our success. I'll have my Twitch stream in the description, as well as a couple other people from my guild, so you should definitely check them out too. All right, thanks for watching, guys.